All right. Hopefully I'm on. Making sure I'm on. Okay. I am set. All right. I've been over 32 seconds. Wow. Okay. I've been trying to see if this is working or not. We want to empower you for leadership. Let me try to set this thing up properly, and I'll be on shortly. Okay. Let's see. See what we're going to do quickly. And definitely while you're jumping in. Hey, bless you, Take Nine. Bless you, Brother Mark. Glad that you're joining. Let's continue to take the journey in leadership. Okay, so let me see. I am trying to figure out one thing. Okay. Okay. Once I'll be on in a second. All right. There we go. Okay. So be sure to share this. Those who are jumping on, be sure to share this teaching. It's going to be a very powerful teaching today. We're going to go deeper into the philosophy of leadership. So I want to encourage you to definitely share this. You might just awaken a leader, even as yourself. Remember, we told you that leaders is all about enrolling. As you enroll others into a project or enroll others into a cause, you're playing the part of a leader. So as you share this, you're influencing others, amen, to grow and be empowered. I'm Winston Cooper, your success coach, helping you grow and develop as a leader and awakening the leadership potential in you so that you can hit your success mark in life. There are success marks that you set up in life. And as you take on this wisdom and knowledge and be inspired by it and begin to act on it, you're going to see great results happen. Remember, we told you leadership is action oriented more than it is knowledge oriented. And so leaders are always about taking action. You always see a leader on the move, leaders acting. And so that's our goal, to inspire you, empower you to be a powerful leader that you are. And you might have an organization already established. You might be an entrepreneur, pastor, or have some type of hub group setting that you have already established and innovated. And so once you begin to take on this knowledge, or you join this type of masterclass teaching, you're going to see yourself evolve. You're going to see yourself develop greatly. And when you develop, you're going to greatly develop your followers. The moment you develop, you'll greatly develop your followers. That is the key for leadership. And so we've been discussing some skills and what are the arts, what is the ontology of becoming a great leader. And this is like session 4. We've been going through my book, Success Secrets of Great Leaders. And as we've been going through this powerful book, we're still on chapter 1. And as we're reading it, digressing it, and elaborating on some of the principles, our lives have been inspired. So we're glad that you're joining us. And so we do want you to share this on your platforms, because you just don't know who you might inspire to become a great leader and who you might encourage as a leader. And so I'm going to move forward because time is of the essence. If you want to book us, just email us. We will get back with you shortly and let you know when we're available, or just tell us about your event. Share your event to us and we will respond back to you. There's also some resources that you can get on these 2 websites at the bottom. We do believe in empowerment, enlightenment, and in educating humanity. So those are our 3 things: empowerment, enlightenment, and in educating humanity. And so here's the question I want to ask you about Warren Blank. Are you ready to lead? And he goes on with a quote and says, anyone can recognize a blazing fire. The real skill lies in sniffing out the first smoke. Now, when you look at this, shalom, shalom. When you look at this particular quote by Warren Blank, I want to hear, what do you get from it? What are you receiving from that statement? As you think about that statement, anyone can recognize a blazing fire. The real skill lies in sniffing out the first smoke. So you see that he makes a distinction between those who recognize problems versus the leader who seeks to solve the problem, who seeks to put out the fire. Just because you recognize the problem, just because you recognize the issue, that does not make you a leader. The leader seeks to resolve the problem. Yes, the website, here's the website again, winstonjcooper.com, ears to listen, and www.orkm.org. You'll find some resources on those two websites. And so this is the key. We're trying to enhance your consciousness. And what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna try to sharpen your hunch. Every leader moves by their hunch, and the leader's hunch gives them the answer or the ability to resolve the fire, to resolve issues. And so you might hear a lot of complainants. They're complaining about what's going on at their job, what's going on with their business, what's going on with their church. Because of their complaining, that is a sign they are not stepping up as a leader. Because leaders, they seek to resolve complaints, not continually make complaints. And that's the distinction that Warren Blank is sharing. Now, I want you to make this declaration. Say, I am awakened, therefore I can lead. Say it one more time. I am awakened, therefore I can lead. So my question to you is, are you awake? Because until you are awakened to who you are, until you awaken unto your potential and your passion, you cannot lead. We are in the midst of a hypnotized mass of people. And leaders are those who are awakened from the hypnosis of humanity. And what I mean by hypnosis of humanity, I mean those people who just live their life mechanically. They live their life without a conscience. They get up, do the same thing, eat the same thing, go to sleep at around the same time, see the same people, deal with the same issues, deal with the same problems, because they are caught or arrested by a hypnotized humanity, a hypnotized society. But it is a leader that is awakened from the hypnosis or hypnotized system, and the leader brings change to the system. They bring change and innovation to a society that is comfortable and complacent in an issue and a problem. So you have to continue to tell yourself, I'm awakened, therefore I can lead. Because until you awake, the leader in you remains asleep. Until you awake, the leader within you remains dormant. And so you have to be awakened. What is the passion? What is the assignment that you are called to innovate? What is a project that you are called to build for others to follow? Now, I'm going to share three passages of scripture, and these, it might be small on the screen, but if you look into the most important book of the world, the Bible, I'm reading from the Message translation, Proverbs 28, verse 8 to 9. I'm going to show you how much God values leadership. God values leadership, and God has dispersed, he has deposited important leadership into the world as a gift from him. And so Psalms 28, verse 8 to 9 says, God is all strength for his people, ample refuge for his chosen leaders. So God is an ample refuge to his chosen leaders. And it says, save your people and bless your heritage, care for them, carry them like a good shepherd. So this Psalms tells us that God cares for his people through protecting the leaders that he has assigned to them. Every group, every community, every tribe, every society, every nation, every country has a leader over them. And if that leader is divinely led and God has override their hunch, they will lead their people into justice. And so Proverbs 14:28 says, the mark of a good leader is loyal followers. Leadership is nothing without a following. So until you have loyal followers who are influenced by your cause, until you have good people following you, leadership is non-existent. You got to have someone that is influenced and persuaded by your life that is helping you fulfill a cause. Remember, we told you leadership is all about community development. It's all about taking a gathering of people and letting them see a greater cause. But if they're not loyal to the cause, if they are disloyal to the vision, leadership will become extinct. Now, in Psalms 18, verse 43 to 45, here is another passage. And I believe that out of the mouth of two or three witnesses, every word is established. And so it says, you rescued me from squabbling people. You made me a leader of nations. Whenever there's a squabble, whenever there's a complaint, whenever there's contention in an organization, in a business, in a church, God raises up a leader to resolve the squabbling. And so the psalmist says, you have rescued me from squabbling people. In other words, you made me distinct from the squabblers. So if you're going to be a leader, you got to choose to separate yourself from the complainers. You got to choose to separate yourself from the whiners and those who like to create what I call victimhoods. They like to create victim networks. They like to get on the phone and talk about problems and issues. If you're going to be a leader, you got to be rescued from the gossip. And so the psalmist says in verse 44 of Psalms 18, in the Message translation, people I never heard of serve me. The moment they got wind of me, they listened. The foreign devils gave up. They gave on their bellies, crawling from their hideouts. See, the moment you choose to be distinct from the masses, the moment you choose mastery over the masses, guess what? People will follow. In other words, when you become a voice, when you become your authentic voice, God will raise up destiny helpers that will help you. Some of you are called to help battered and broken men. You're called to lead them into restoration. Some of you are called to help single mothers that have children and they don't know how to handle them. You're called to lead those single mothers into success, into a state of independence where they can prosper in their destiny. Some of you got products that can help and empower humanity, but you got to choose to take the lead. You got to choose to be the voice in the cause, because until you be the voice in the cause, you remain with the squabbling people. And the reason why there's a lot of complaints, a lot of negativity that you hear in your workplace, or in your business, or in church, is because God is waiting for someone to emerge as a leader in their generation. So I wanted to share those three passages with you. I really want you to meditate on those three passages. And I'm going to give you 4 musts that every great leader does, a habit that every great leader does. Good to see you, Coach Rachel. There are 4 habits, and I'm going to go into my book in chapter 1 and finish and conclude with chapter 1, because we're still on chapter 1. This is a weighty book. It seems so concise, but as I elaborate, you're getting it from the horse's mouth. You're getting it from the author. I'm elaborating my own book. I hope that you're receiving insight from it. Okay, so here's the first must that every leader, great leader, must do, and they must practice. You must have an optimistic attitude. You must learn to be an incurable optimist. Never step into the space of being a pessimist. Emotionally unstable people never can become great leaders. All great leaders have an optimistic attitude. Why? Because the attitude of the leader determines the attitude of those who follow them. So if you do not have the right attitude, if you don't have a firm belief, a firm expectation that your vision can manifest greatly, then guess what? The people that have committed themselves to the cause will become discouraged. You got to develop your consciousness to always be an incurable optimist. What do I mean by that? No matter what happens, no matter what type of situation challenges your business, challenges your family organization, challenges you as you innovate something new, do not let the condition or challenge or circumstance stop your attitude from being optimistic. Always seek to challenge the condition. Seek to challenge the circumstance. And when you do, great things will begin to happen. Your attitude determines your altitude, but it also determines the plane that you're called to operate in. And so every great leader, they develop the attitude of having an optimistic attitude. And here is number 2, a major must. Those who are getting on, please share this, enroll somebody. This is a CTA, a call to action. If you're a leader, let's see your influence. Let's see if you have the boldness to share it to somebody. Because when you share what you are learning, you will gain more. When you share what you are learning, you will be more empowered. So the second great habit that every good leader or great leader possesses is you must have the ability to recognize when leadership is needed. You must discern when leadership is needed. And guess what? Leadership is an event. Leadership is a moment. It's not a position. Whenever there is a problem, leadership is needed. Whenever there is a complex situation, that is the opportunity for leaders to emerge. So great leaders, they know when leadership is needed. When you don't know when leadership is needed, you might be a clone. You might just sit back in the comforts of life and let life go as is. But leadership, great leaders, they always have that ability to discern when to seize the opportunity. There are so many problems that you hear throughout the day, so many complaints that you hear throughout the day, so many unhappy voices that you hear throughout the day. And remember, unhappy voices birth ideals to the leader. I'm saying again, unhappy voices births ideals to the leader. So when you hear unhappy voices, when you hear complaints, that should inspire new ideals for you to innovate as a leader. Every great leader sees burdens. They see the need. For my favorite book, the Bible, Matthew chapter 9, Jesus looked at the crowd. He saw them and had compassion for them. Now, you cannot have the ability to resolve a situation until you have compassion for those who are oppressed by the situation. Until you are compassionate in seeing those who are oppressed by the situation or by the oppressor, you cannot be a leader. So Jesus saw that they were like sheep without shepherds, and he had compassion on them in Matthew 9. And guess what he did? He developed leaders and sent his disciples out to lead shepherdless people. And there's so many shepherdless people out there waiting for you to shepherd them and guide them into a greater reality. Until you see the need, you cannot lead. I want someone to write that down. I'm writing that down myself. Until you see the need, you cannot lead. I forgot my pen, so I had to text it to myself. Until you see the need, you cannot lead. And so that's the key. And here's the third major must of every great leader. You must be aware that everyone isn't going to follow your cause. Remember, rejection comes with the territory. When you share your cause, get ready to be persecuted. I ask you a question. Are you awake? And here's what I mean by awaken. You are enlightened. All enlightened beings are mainly persecuted. Thank you, Coach Rachel, for sharing that. All enlightened beings are mainly persecuted. They're talked about. The unenlightened are not persecuted. The unenlightened, they are not talked about. Do you know why? Because darkness loves its own. But the moment you become an enlightened individual, darkness cannot comprehend light. Look throughout history, all through the chronicles of history throughout leadership. Notice every leader that stood for a cause, they was either persecuted, talked about, ostracized, rejected. And so you must be aware that every great leader is going to touch some, but not all. So go ahead and get rid of the rejection complex. When someone says no, just say next. When the person tells you no, I don't want to follow you, just think next, because there's always someone that's willing to follow you. It is a numbers game. 1 out of 10 people will follow you if you choose to be the voice. 1 out of 10 people will connect to your cause if you choose to stand up and lead. The fourth major must every great leader must have. You must fearlessly take wise, risky opportunities. You cannot be comfortable in the safe zone. People that are comfortable in the safe zone are mechanical, and they are hypnotized by society. Until you choose to step up and take the wise risk in the opportunity, leadership will not be made visible. And what I mean by this, because a risk is something that you don't know if it's going to work. You don't know if it's going to work. You don't know if it's going to succeed. You don't know if you're going to see it manifest. You don't know if you're going to fall down, you're going to trip, skip, or win. but you still take it. A wise risk means that you have sat down, counted the cost. You have seen if you have the ability and the potential and the resources to fulfill it, and you jumped out and did it. You stepped into the possibility instead of remaining in the limitation. So that's what I mean by wise risk. A wise risk is different from a foolish risk. A foolish risk is just moving by presumption. You did not plan anything out. You did not write a vision. You did not wrote down a schedule. You did not have a map. You have nothing in place, and you just jumped out and did something. That's a foolish risk. But leaders, they take planned out wise risks to seize opportunities. Now, in my book, I share some important principles. I said this in chapter 1. Leaders desire to empower others and not enslave others. We're still in chapter 1. If you're going to be a great leader, never seek to enslave others. Never seek to limit others in what they can do. Never seek to keep others behind. Always try to develop them so they can be a vanguard leader themselves. Leadership is all about empowering people, inspiring people through your experience, through your wisdom, through your knowledge, through your vision. And as you empower people instead of enslave them, they will thank you for it in the end. There will be some that will thank you for it. There will be some that will just leave. Oh, well, keep on empowering. And I said this, a true leader has not only vision for the future to change an environment only, but also vision to see greatness in others be developed and visible. Those who are just getting on, share this. We are going through Success Secrets of Great Leaders, my first leadership book, because I have other resources. We're going through this. Now listen, when you choose to inspire and empower others and help them come into a self-discovery of the leader within them, you have just reduplicated yourself. You have just went through the process of reduplication. Now check this out. Not everyone, if there was to be honest with themselves, everyone does not have a desire to follow. They have a desire to lead. Where did they get that desire from? They got it from their creator. God has made man and woman in his image and likeness. You were born to have the consciousness to lead. All you need to do is process it and serve another leader until the leadership in you evolves. There's a hunch in you that is called to be an empowerer, a deliverer, a liberator, an emancipator to your group, to your society, to your people. You have to be open to step out and let that leader that's in your womb be birthed. And so you need someone to help empower you. Now, leaders, if you are not birthing out leaders, if you are not birthing out influencers that are looking up to your cause or believing in your cause, you have to go into the woodshed and develop yourself more so that leaders will develop around you. I said this in my book in one of the paragraphs. Many strive to lead who have undeveloped and untrained sensitivity to their hunch feelings will not lead their following very far. I am dealing with today the leader's hunch, because until you move with your hunch instead of your reasoning, you will not lead people very far. There is what we call a prophetic hunch that is given to every leader. It is locked in their intuition. It is bound in their subconscious mind. There's a hunch. There is a divine inspiration that causes a leader to transform systems, societies, transform families, transform workplaces. And until you are sensitive to that spiritual hunch in you, you will remain a follower. Many people should have been leading right now, but they have become numb to their hunch. Have you ever met somebody? They thought of an ideal, they thought of a project, and then they procrastinated. Then all of a sudden they see somebody else quickly step on that ideal and end up making the project before the other person. And then that person who did not act on it said, "Man, I just thought about that. That was in my mind. God told me to do it." But guess what? They didn't follow their hunch. And so somebody else beat them to the punch. And they took the lead. See, it is not what remains in your mind that counts. It is what you act on that counts. So leaders, they know how to move with their divine hunch. Because I said in my book, leaders have that sixth sense, that intuition or that hunch that guides them in the expansion of making their vision a living reality. Now, Warren Blank says this. Warren Blank says this: leaders are expected to guide, but paradoxically, they can never be sure where they're going. Can I submit to you, leaders do not know where they're going. They're always taking the journey in uncharted courses until they die, until they die. So you heard this proverb, someone can never take you where they have never been. That's true in some sense, but not all the time. Because if a leader just keeps you where they've been and they're not evolving themselves, that leader has just stifled you. That leader had just stagnated your development. The leader is taking the journey. Paradoxically, they don't know where they're going. They're just moving with their hunch. They're just moving what they see within their mind's eye. So I said, leaders only move by what they see in their mind before it's a reality, and this is driven by their intuition. So every great leader must be intuitive. This is the secret sauce to great leadership. You must be intuitive. You must hear what your spirit, what your subconsciousness is telling you to step out on. Now, later on, we're going to deal with the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And you have to be able to move by what you see in the subconscious mind. On the theater of your mind, you have to be willing to just step out and do it before it is even manifested. And so the reason why people are not moving into a great leadership is because they're bound by their reasoning instead of their hunch. I'm sharing a secret with you. The moment some of you are called to write books, you're called to write plays, you're called to write children's books. Some of you are called to write songs. Some of you are called to sing new songs. Some of you are called to do something great for your family. Take your family out on a venture by empowering humanity some philanthropic way. But the question is, are you going to obey your hunch? Are you going to obey your little Jimmy the Cricket in you? Or are you going to remain on the reasoning plane? So I said in my book here, genuine leaders are beyond, watch this, and before their followers to take and stretch them beyond their present level of thinking. Notice I use the two distinct words, beyond and before. See, it's not only good to be just before your leaders or before your followers. There are many people that are in the front, but they're not beyond in their consciousness. They're in the position of leadership, but they're not seeing beyond. They're not seeing what can these people become, how to involve them from this level to the next level. So the leader has to learn how not only to be before, but beyond their followers, to take and stretch them beyond their present level of thinking. Leroy M. says this: a leader is one who sees more than others see, who sees farther than others see, and who sees before others do. So the question is, how far do you see? See, your eyes are made to look, but vision is made for you to see. So you see you look with your eyes, but vision causes you to see. How far do you see? How far is your sight? Because you got to learn to see something that others are not seeing and get them to see what you are seeing. See, leadership is clarifying potential, clarifying what people's giftedness, and letting them see what you communicate to them. I said this: that's why leaders are developed and are not born, because it takes a thorough training and some experience to be able to be ahead of others, as well as have sharp eyes to see farther than others see. That's why training is necessary in this leadership process. It is so very necessary, because before you can have vision to see, you got to get involved or engaged in the burden. You got to feel people's hurt. How can you lead cancer patients if you are not around them? If you don't understand the language, the pain, the hurt, how can you really encourage them? How can you help drug dealers? How can you empower them to get out of selling drugs unless you go around them, unless you engage in their world, unless you engage in their reality, learn about their situation, study how they feel, what causes them to sell drugs? See, until you get into that type of dimension, you would never be able to lead them out of those bad habits and bad conditions. It's a training process. It's very key. Okay, so We already discussed the 4 major musts. I promise to give you 4 more, because the title of this whole session is 8 things great leaders do. Okay. So we shared you must have an optimistic attitude. We also shared and conveyed you must have the ability to recognize when leadership is needed. Those who are just getting on. We also shared you must be aware that everyone isn't going to follow your calls. Then you must fearlessly take wise, risky opportunities. So what opportunity can you take today? What opportunity can you seize today? Now here is the 5th thing that great leaders do. You must learn to be an out-of-box thinker. Until you be an out-of-the-box thinker, you will remain in the box. And we know that Jack is in the box. So you have to think outside of the box. Think outside of the paradigm that you are in. Your paradigm is your mental map, from the word paradunuma. Paradunuma is an English Greek terminology, which means to show, to demonstrate, but it is a pattern. It is a mental map. Until you think outside of that map that you have, you are not an out of the box thinker. You got to learn to think out of that paradigm if you want to experience a paradigmatic shift. Good to see you, Coach Jason. So what are you doing routinely that needs to be transformed? What habits are you in that's keeping you on the same level? Now, here's a new question. What new habit can you take on that can expand your bottom line? What new habit can you take on that can add value to you as a leader? What can you do differently that you have never done before? Because until you're willing to do something you've never done before, you are going to receive the same results. So, critical thinking, we're going to deal with this later on, because leaders, they are all about critical thinking. Because until you have the ability to critically think something, you cannot manifest a different reality. 8, we're dealing with 8 great things leaders do. You must master the art of diplomacy and influence. You got to be diplomatic around people. You got to know how to negotiate. I want you to write this down. There are no fixed prices. I'm going to text it to myself. There are no fixed prices. You got to master the art of negotiation. Leadership is all about negotiation. You got to negotiate to enroll people to follow you. You got to negotiate for people to believe in your cause. And it takes a certain diplomacy. It takes a diplomacy. It takes a certain level of patience in helping people see something greater than what they're seeing already. You can't be mad at people, angry at people, criticizing people, justifying yourself. No. It takes diplomacy. The 7th thing every great leader practices and do, you must be passionate about building relationships and communities. Until you are passionate about building relations and community, leadership is non-existent. I'm telling you this because there are people, they do things, they join things, they are doing it as an obligation. It's not from a passion. They are over certain auxiliaries, over certain organizations, over certain forms of management, but they're doing it because it is an obligation for them to do it, or they're doing it for a paycheck. It is not from their passion. They don't have a passion for it. They don't wake up. They don't get excited to do it. They don't look forward to do it. As Mark Twain says, when you discover your vocation will be your vacation. When you discover your vocation will be your vacation. In other words, the moment you find what you're passionate about doing, you cease from working. Even though objectively it looks like you're working, you're just in your passion. And so every leader has a passion to develop communities, to develop relationships, because relationship is important. The 8th thing, you must seize the opportunity to communicate your vision to others. When was the last time you communicated your vision to others? When was the last time you shared to someone what you are passionate about? Can I submit to you, your passion will dominate your conversation. And if Your passion or your conversations are not about developing projects, building communities, helping people, empowering people, teaching others, then leadership it might be a possibility that leadership is not your passion. Because whatever is dominating your daily conversations is a signpost to what you're passionate about. So you got to learn how to communicate your vision to others. Learn how to share it to others, because until you share it to others, you cannot enroll them into your cause. Every great leader knows a closed mouth is a closed business. Every great leader knows a closed mouth does not empower others to fulfill the cause. Now, further on my book, I said, we're still in chapter 1. It's not too late to get this book. We're still in chapter 1. All right. I'm telling you, this is very vital. What is missing now is great leaders. And I think because you're listening this, if you have been listening this long or this far, that is a sign that you're called to be a leader. And so I said in my book, leaders are confident in taking the lead because they have exercised their hunch to be sensitive in knowing what to do at the right time. Now, I like what Shin says. Shin says, never argue with a hunch and never submit a hunch to someone on the reasoning plane. See, listen, there is a vision that is locked within your hunch, the inner leadership hunch. Don't argue with what your hunch is telling you to start. Don't argue with what your hunch is telling you to innovate and initiate. True leaders, they do not submit their hunch to people on the reasoning plane, because there'll be some others. There'll be some people who don't see what you see, who will try to talk you out of listening to your hunch. You have to be adamant. You have to keep your face like flint and keep on focusing on what your hunch is telling you if you want to see it manifest. People on the reasoning plane, well, good meaning friends, can deter you from listening to your hunch. Now, Murphy says you don't get what you want in life, you get what you contemplate. I'm going to say it again. You don't get what you want in life, you get what you contemplate. So you got to go into, when you look at the word contemplate, you see two words. Con is the Latin word, it comes from the Latin word with, temple. Contemplate means within the temple. And there is a spiritual guide within your temple. Hello, temple. You have to contemplate. You have to listen to what your hunch is telling you and see what your hunch is showing you. And that's the thing you go after. You do not get what you want in life. You get what you contemplate. What is your hunch showing you to start? You want to be a good starter and a good finisher. What is your hunch telling you to do? All leaders move by their hunch. So we're gonna stop right there, and I just want to encourage you to refine your hunch, sharpen your hunch. When you develop that spiritual hunch, and you get into a space of meditation, you get into a space of listening to what the Spirit of God is telling you to start, telling you to innovate, and you open your spiritual eyes to see it, you have now awakened to become a leader. Because every great leader is awakened to their hunch. Good to see you, Coach Mike. Good to see you take that. Every good leader is awakened to their hunch. There might be something that God wants you to start. Now, I like these lives, because until you go live, you're not alive. I hope I empower somebody with that. Until you go live, you're not alive. So what can you share to others? What is your hunch telling you to do? What burden has been placed on your hunch for you to solve? So if you want to join us and connect with us, if you want us to empower your organization, empower the leaders at your church, here is the information. We're still on chapter 1. We're still finishing chapter 1. Actually, we just concluded it. We're about to go into chapter 2 soon. But I want to tell you that leadership is an art, as Max Dupree will say. You have to understand it. You have to know how to be skillful in it, be empowered by it. And guess what? You will start leading families, generations, communities, tribes. You start receiving promotions on your job, because some of you have been called to be a supervisor. I don't know why you're remaining low. So when you look at the word supervisor, it means supervision. Thank you, Coach Jay. It means supervision. Until you have a supervision, you cannot be a supervisor. Until your vision is higher than the vision of those who are hypnotized in the masses, you cannot be a supervisor. supervisor. I just shared something upon play upon words. So there's a supervision from the super consciousness. There's a supervision from the super consciousness that has been revealed to you so that you can be super. Every great leader has supervision so they can supervise. All right, I'll be back later on next week with more leadership skills and principles. I hope that this empowers you. Do share this to others. Listen to the recap again. There's some things that I share with you. Listen to that again, and you will be blessed. Now, those that are jumping in, those who want to join the 12 that I'm looking for 12 individuals. We're going to go through this powerful book, Prophetic Transformational Leadership. Now, this is nothing to be played with. There's some things that is going to really make you a super visionary. Once we go through that book and wait for the landing page, I'm going to create it. I'll show you how to be part of that 12. I got 2 already signed up. We need 8. We need 10 more. And I'll show you how to be part of that 12. All I need is 12, okay? As a matter of fact, some of you need to cash up 1212 because 1212 is a number of divine government. You are called to be in a governmental position in life. And guess what? You're called to lead if you're a mother, lead your children well. If you're single, lead other singles. You don't have to wait to be told. If you know that you are a disciplined single, go ahead and lead other singles. Be a voice to singles. If you're a mother, single mother, they got children, go ahead and lead them. Start something. You can lead anywhere. Remember I told you before, leadership is an event. Okay? You don't have to wait for the religious to empower you to lead. Lead from where you are, and then you will be promoted. I'll be back on later on. Be blessed. Stay a great leader. Shalom.